Greetings, everybody. I wanted to take just a quick couple of minutes and walk you through Project 5, which is the creation of an instruction manual. So I'm just going to run through the directions verbatim. As always, just feel free to stay in touch with me if you have any questions. I'm always happy to talk about assignments. And yeah, all right, let's get going. So for continuity in terms of this assignment and for context, we're still inside the organization for which I've hired you, right? I'm kind of your fake boss in this journey. And so this is the company, of course, that you laid out in your outreach memo. And your task here is to create a 3 to 5 page instruction manual for an everyday task inside your organization. You may go over the page limit, but probably not under. And I want you to remember the key values driving this project, right? These are concision, right? To be concise, to use as little ink as possible, to be precise, to have audience awareness, to practice smart design principles, and to really value user safety. So your instruction manual should it should include all the following elements. It should have a title, and you'll see in the paper prompt, I've kind of explain sort of what each of these functions are. Again, this is just echoing what we went through in the lecture this week. But for the title, keep it simple, but clearly identify the task that will be performed. Use a how-to or gerunding verb, right? That is, that's a nice way to do it. So that is that the title is starting with the verb and it's gerund with an ing. So completing or constructing or whatever. So make sure that the title adequately reflects the product and process users will be working on. It should be simple and clear. Then you'll need an intro, right? The goal of the introduction is to give general information about the process. What is it? Why should it be done? The intro is an overview of the process and why it's important. Oftentimes, the writer lists the benefits of completing the process so that the reader feels good about the task that they're about to undertake. Then you'll have a tools and materials section. Here you'll list the necessary items to complete the task so that the reader can gather and organize them before starting the process. Consider using a bulleted list or some other formatting tool here that's easy for the reader to skim through quickly. Visuals, your reader will need visuals to refer to and to make sure they're kind of finding their way through the process. So remember to label the visuals as figure 1, figure 2, and so on, and then title each visual so the reader knows what they're looking at. Generally, the visuals refer to within the step-by-step instruction process, so you can actually make that reference explicit. Then you'll get into the step-by-step instructions themselves. So here, I'm asking you to use a numbered list of step-by-step instructions for completing the process. So consider transitional words here to keep the reader on track. Examples of transitions include first, next, then, finally, those kinds of words, right, that are moving you from one concept to another. Also, write in clear and complete sentences throughout this section and refer to the visuals in this section. So for example, a writer might include a phrase such as see figure 3. This will help the reader see the relationship between the steps and the visual and to make that visual even more useful. Another reminder is to be consistent with how you create these instructions. If it's appropriate to use the word you as you write, use it consistently. And this is up to you. You know, I've mentioned to a few of you this semester that we generally avoid the second person. I would say we generally avoid the second person in tech writing, but it's not a cardinal rule, especially in this kind of a context where you're bringing somebody through a process. You may very well want to refer to them in the second person, but if you do that, make sure to keep it consistent so it's not confusing. So also, one final reminder on the step-by-step section is to explain to the reader why to do or not to do something that might have negative consequences. This will help the reader have a positive experience in completing the process. So you just give them a sense of what could go wrong. Troubleshooting, this section helps the reader solve common problems. So it's when someone tells the user to do something and adds, well, if this doesn't work, try this instead. Then there's a conclusion. In the instructions with positive comments about the product and or process that the user just completed. Sometimes there's a phone number or a helpline of further assistance. The benefits can also be restated, but in different words. However, make sure not to use the exact words from the introduction. That'll just seem repetitive and it will put the reader off. Readers don't like to read the same exact words twice. Other back matter, I mean, here we might have references, a glossary, appendix, an index, technical specifications, etc. And then you'll want to finish with a warning section. And we talked a lot about the legal responsibility that that people who are writing instruction manuals take on in the act of doing that. And so just because it's listed as last, it doesn't mean that it's any less important than the other parts of the document, or that it must be placed last in the document. And I said this in the lecture as well. It very well could come second or third in the document as well. Second might not be bad after, or third after the introduction, right? So you've got the title and the intro. Think title, intro, and warnings is not a bad order. But here it's important, right, that you have to decide where to put the warnings, and that has to be purposive and it has to work with the document. And you have to consider, of course, the legal and ethical obligations that you have to the reader. It's your job to protect the reader from harm or damage. So any set of instructions needs to be a careful balance of warnings strategically placed throughout the document. If the reader overuses them, there's a risk of scaring the user or making it so the reader doesn't want to use the product. So you don't want to overuse them or be too scary, but if you underuse them, there's the risk, of course, of somebody getting injured. So that's what the structure looks like. Again, stay in touch if you have any questions. This one will be fun. I'm really excited to see what you all generate. So thank you so much.